Hey guys, how are you? This is Eric Bramlett with Bramlett Partners, and today we're here to discuss the June 2025 Austin real estate market statistics. Before we dive into that, I want to acknowledge the heartbreaking tragedy in the Hill Country. I think everyone has been personally affected by this. You know, Bet goes to camp out there. His camp always does a dance with Camp Mystic. Um, it's just been terrible. I also want to acknowledge the sort of light after the storm, and that's been the amazing outpouring of support from Texans, from folks from out of state, business owners. I don't want to go into too many details. There's way too many stories and examples of just how much time and care everyone has put into this. So if you've been affected, my heart goes out to you. And if you're one of those amazing folks that have donated your time or money into this, then thank you. All that said, I want to go ahead and go into the market statistics. The market continues to remain stable, and the numbers show that. So let's go ahead and dive into those stats. These are the statistics for June 2025, and we're doing a year-over-year comparison with 2024. So the first thing that sticks out to me is that total sales increased by 5%, which is really great to see. Those are the best numbers we've seen all year. You know, we have some things highlighted in yellow, which aren't so great. I tossed in the fact that under contract and pending are completely flat versus 2024. The past few months, we've seen a nice increase in pendings. And because they're flat now, we expect total sales to probably remain flat over the next month or so. Active listings increasing by 15.9%. That's nothing new. We've seen that trend all year, but it continues to add inventory to the market. And you can see that MOI is up to 5.4 months of MOI versus 4.4 last year. It's a 23% increase. That just shows you that there's a lot of options for buyers out there and that sellers need to be very aware that there is a lot of competition. Average median sold prices, relatively flat. You know, we saw the biggest swing we see is average sold price up by 2%, median sold price per square foot down by 4.7%. But with these metrics, I think you can say that we continue to remain stable on pricing. Here's a visualization of that. We're looking at average and median sold price in the Austin Metro, and the trend line remains almost entirely flat, completely over the 13-month, June to June. It looks like it's ticking up just very, very slightly, but I wouldn't read too much into that. And I would just say, hey, pricing remains stable as it has now for almost 24 months. Pending units, this is the trend line that we look at a lot, and we really emphasize this to sellers when we meet with them. Pending units always peak in the spring, and then there's just a gradual decline from the peak months of April, May to the end of the year, and then that demand does come back the following spring. 2025 is no different. We're trending almost exactly along with 2024, which also tracks along with the historical average. So we do expect the seasonal market to remain predictable, and we do expect to see demand just continue to decrease throughout the summer and into the fall and winter months. This shows you new listings. We had a pretty big uptick in new listings this year in the spring, and then now it's returning to normal, but this trend line also is relatively normal. And for the same reason that we see fewer properties go under contract in this late summer, fall, and winter, you'll see fewer properties listed as well. It's just simply because people don't like to buy and sell homes whenever they're busy going on vacation, whenever they're busy getting kids off to school, and obviously whenever they're busy with the holidays. So these are all lagging indicators. So we like to look at leading indicators a lot. That tells us what we can expect up front. We always say that if you are planning your listing or planning your business, looking at lagging indicators like driving in the rearview mirror, we obviously want to look out at the dashboard whenever we're making plans. We usually like to see trend lines go up and to the right, except to mortgage rates. And so this shows you year-to-date mortgage rates, and mortgage rates fluctuate daily, but it is nice to see that we're seeing a really, really slight decline in rates, but still whenever we're seeing a decline. So we started the year at around 7%, jumped up above 7, and we're now at around the 6.8%. That's great to see. That doesn't mean that we're going to see any sudden shifts, but it does mean that buyers will very gently get off the fence, perhaps. This is the Michigan Consumer Sentiment from Trading Economics. And you can see that we had a low point in April and May, and that consumer sentiment has bounced back since then. Consumer sentiment is simply the measurement of appetite to buy consumer goods, and especially expensive things like houses, cars, expensive vacations. Whenever consumer sentiment is low, we see fewer folks buying houses, cars, and expensive vacations. And whenever consumer sentiment is high, we see a lot of people making that decision. This is a daily measurement of the stock market and the stock market direction. It's from a famous quote by Warren Buffett about fear and greed. So whenever there is greed in the market, that means that there's a lot of appetite to invest. And whenever there's fear, extreme fear in the market, that means that people are moving their money into safe haven. The stock market has been in greed for a while, and it's moved into extreme greed, which we like to see. Whenever we see a lot of turbulence in the economy or turbulence in politics, you'll see that move down. But it's nice to see that there is still bullish sentiment in the stock market. We waited for a long time for the job market to improve in Austin. And I'm not here to say that it's improved by any means, but it's certainly not getting any worse. And whenever we look at the number of Indeed.com job postings from 2024 to 2025, you can see the trend line's positive, and we like to see that. So we actually saw the first month in June of 2025 where we saw a year-over-year increase in the number of job postings. 5%. Now, 1 month doesn't make a trend, and also a 5% increase doesn't mean that there's going to be some sudden shift upwards in the market, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see that things are not getting worse, and we're seeing a glimmer of hope that things might start to get a little bit better. Zooming out, looking at January 2022 to present, you can see really what's happened here. And there's just been a big decline in the number of jobs available since that sort of boom market in January 2022. Whenever we look here, you can see we've kind of been skipping across the bottom. We had kind of a low point in mid 2024, but we're waiting for jobs to come back. We love those reload deals. We love those move up deals. Whenever jobs come back, that will mean more demand in the real estate market. So that's what we're seeing. Again, in my opinion, good timing for the market to not have any major swings, or there's no major news to report. As always, real estate in Austin is hyper local. Real estate everywhere is hyper local. So your situation in your, zip code or neighborhood might differ from the broader market, and it probably does. Things are also hyper situational. So depending on what your goals are, you'll take this information and you want to strategize differently than somebody else that's in a different situation. That's what we're here to do. So if you're a buyer or seller and you'd like to talk about your specific market, then please reach out to us. Or you'd like to talk about your specific situation and strategy, reach out to us. We love strategizing. If you're a real estate professional, likewise, reach out to us. Business planning is one of, if not my favorite topic. So I'd love to chat with you about that. You can find me online anywhere. I'll have my contact information in the description here. So please reach out. Thanks again. I hope that you're doing well. I hope your family and friends are doing well and safe. I'm Eric Bramlett with Bramlett Partners, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks.